So the religious leaders are coming to Jesus. They're trying to explain away his miracles. And they say, hey, yeah, he's doing miraculous things, but he's doing them by the power of Beelzebub, or the prince of demons, the devil, Satan himself. Yeah, Jesus is doing miraculous things, but he's following Satan, so don't listen to him. And this is multiply attested. So this shows up in Mark, shows up in Matthew and Luke, and Matthew and Luke show an independent account of this. And so we're certain that it at least shows up in two independent sources, both Mark and Q. And so we need to sit with this for a second, because on the one hand, you have Christians writing these books. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? The Gospels. And they are admitting that the Pharisees are against Jesus, and that the Pharisees believed that Jesus was doing miracles by the power of Satan. If these Christians were wanting to make up stories about Jesus doing miracles, they would never in a million years add to it the fact that the Pharisees opposed Jesus' miracles. Pharisees are the religious leaders of the time. And so if Christians are trying to convince their fellow Jews to follow Jesus, they would never say, oh, by the way, all of the leaders that you look up to, all of the Pharisees that you respect and you see them as the top authority in religious things, they disagree with Jesus. But you should still follow him. They would never do that. And so the point is, it's not made up. Christians would not have made up the story of the Pharisees rejecting Jesus' miracles if not for the fact that it actually occurred. And so that's step one. Now, historically, we can be pretty certain, there's no such thing as 100% certainty, right? But we can be pretty certain that the Pharisees actually attributed Jesus' miracles to Satan instead of to the power of God. This also confirms that the Pharisees genuinely believed that Jesus was doing miracles. Otherwise, they would have just said, no, you're not. Show us that you're doing miracles, instead of attributing them to a different source. And so you have this criterion of embarrassment, this testimony against interest happening on both sides. The Christians are testifying to something that they would find embarrassing, and the Pharisees are testifying to something that's against their own interest. Yes, Jesus actually did miracles. To them, the miracles were an observable fact, and so they had to reinterpret that observable fact in light of the narrative that they wanted to tell. So that's point number one.